All right, let's get started here. So as you can notice, my background here is a pretty much a holiday themed background. We just had Christmas, and for those of you who celebrate, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all of you. It is December 29th. 2021. As you can see up top on the right here, it's 10:50 in the morning. I'm gonna go ahead and show you all kind of what I discovered with putting Windows 11 on your Mac. We're gonna click over here on the launch pad, and first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into Parallels Desktop. Now the cool thing about Parallels is this is Parallel 17, by the way. The cool thing about it is the minute you launch it, it says download and install Windows 11. Like the second you launch it, you can click install Windows here, or you can just click the skip button. So we're gonna go ahead and click on skip. And if you notice over here, you can still click on get Windows 11 from Microsoft, or you can install Windows or another operating system from a DVD or image file. So I'm assuming, and again, don't quote me on this, I'm only assuming based on what we're reading here, is that you can connect an external DVD drive and install Windows from there, because I have the M1 MacBook Pro. We're going to go ahead and click on About This Mac real quick before we do anything, and I will show you all. It's the M1 MacBook Pro. This is the base model binned version of the M1 MacBook Pro, which is going to go ahead and give me the 8-core CPU and 14-core GPU with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD. Now the cool thing about the binned version of the M1 MacBook Pro, because it's binned, it basically means that it doesn't make it. It was intended to have 10 cores. It didn't make the cut for it to be placed in the higher tier MacBook Pro models, so they essentially took it down a notch and gave it 8 cores as opposed to 10, even though it does have 8 cores like the MacBook Pro 13 or the MacBook Air 13. The M1 Pro has 6 high performance cores and 2 high efficiency cores, versus the MacBook Pro 13 has 4 high performance cores and 4 high efficiency cores, just like the MacBook Air 13. So we're going to click on storage over here, and you're going to notice that I have 436 gigs available of storage. The reason why I just went down a notch is because I am using QuickTime to save this video, and it's saving it on my computer, taking up space. So if I click on manage over here, you'll notice that Parallels is not here. I installed Windows 11 on this laptop. However, I have removed it because I do want to show all of you how to do it from scratch, so it's not here. So we're going to go ahead and minimize that. We're also going to minimize that. Just so you all know, a lot of people say get the Windows 10 developer beta if you are a Microsoft insider. Unfortunately, I can't find Windows 10 on ARM on the Windows Insider program at all anywhere, and I've been searching for the last 2 days. The cool thing about this option is if you get Parallels 17, you don't have to be a Microsoft insider, which is free, by the way. You can just click on Get Windows 11 from Microsoft, and it will download Windows 11, and I'll show you all that in a minute. But I do want to show you the free systems that they have down here. You have Ubuntu, Fedora, and so on. You can even put macOS and virtualize it. We are going to go ahead and go through Windows 11 because that is the purpose of this video. So we'll click Windows 11 here. We will hit continue, and we will click install Windows. And what this is going to do now is, if you saw here, it created a Windows 11 icon on the desktop, and it is going to go ahead and download Windows 11. Now the other thing you'll notice is in the downloads folder down here, it will appear in the downloads folder. Or if you don't have your download set up like that, you can click on your downloads folder here and it will show up here. So we will give it about 3 minutes depending on your internet speed, and the download will finish. We have almost reached the end of the download here, and I will show you all what I'm about to do once it gets to the end of the download. It's going to go ahead and go through the process of installing Windows 11 as soon as the download is completed. I highly recommend not doing that because you miss out on a lot of configurations that you can do prior to the install happening. So as soon as this is done, we are going to select Parallels and we're going to stop the installation. So we'll wait till this is done and we'll get an option to stop it. I'm pretty much a lifetime long Mac user, and then I switched to Windows to play some PC gaming. I got kind of sick of all the gaming laptops I got were not that great, to be honest. So I actually just opted to get a Mac, and I have an Xbox Series S. I love it. It's fantastic. So that's kind of what brings me to having a Mac again, but I do use some Windows apps, so I definitely need this. Okay, so if you notice, it jumps straight to the installation on Windows. So we're going to click on installation, I believe. Yep. And we're going to click stop. Stop. Yes, because we do not want it to manually install. So we'll hit the skip button. So if you notice, it's in the downloads area. So if we click over here to the Finder, click on downloads, the Windows 11 ISO is right here. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we did not use the Microsoft Insider link. So I don't think that this Windows 11 version here is a beta. I don't think so. And I'll show you all that in a minute when we go ahead and go through the installation process. I am going to click on install Windows or another OS from a DVD or image file. I'm going to click continue. We're going to click select a file, or I could just drag it up there, but I will like to click select the file. Go to my downloads folder, select the ISO, and we will click open. And we're going to click continue. And if you notice, it picked up Windows 11 right away. And this is why I like to do it manually, because I can select the edition. I'm going to select Windows 11 Home. I'm going to click Done. Now here's where it kind of gets cool. It's asking you what you will primarily use Windows for. This is kind of like for quick customization, as opposed to going through each and individual custom setting. And I'll show you all that in a minute. If you notice, there are these little symbols next to software development, software testing, and design. These symbols right here with like little ovals next to them. If you hover it over, it'll say this option is available in Pro Edition only. And that brings me to this point. If I go to Parallels 17, you will notice that there are different levels, different tiers of Parallel 17 desktop. And again, I'm using the trial. My trial is up on January 7th. They give you a free 14-day trial. So we'll scroll down a little bit, and it'll say optimized for M1 chip, which is awesome. And these are the compare editions. I highly recommend you going to Parallel 17 in parallels.com and compare the editions. I'm going to be working on the standard edition. I do have an 8-core CPU and 16 gigs of RAM on this laptop, and that's pretty much the cap for the standard edition. If I did have the higher tier MacBooks with 64 gigs of RAM and I want to allocate more RAM to the virtual machine, you can only do that in the Pro Edition. You'll notice you're capped out at 128 with the Pro Edition or 128 in the Business Edition. But in the standard edition, you can only have a maximum of 8 gigs of VRAM allocated to your virtual machine and 4 CPUs to your virtual machine, which to me, it's perfect because yes, I do use some Windows applications, but anything intensive that I'm going to be doing, it's most likely going to be in macOS. And the cool thing about the standard edition, it's a one-time purchase of $80 versus the business and pro editions. They are $99.99. The cool thing about the Pro Edition and Business Edition is you do get free upgrades to the latest version. Whereas the Standard Edition, if you pay the one-time $80, you will not get that. Only if you do the subscription model, which is going to be these two. And there is a secret option, a fourth option called the Student Edition, which I believe is $40. I'm not 100% sure, but if I click on this here, it will ask for some information to verify that you are a student. So we're going to close that and close that. Okay, so we're going to click on games only. And the reason why is I just find it to kind of have the presets that I want. You can always click productivity and change it later. But we're going to click games only. Then we will click continue. I want it to be called Windows 11. Right off the bat, it's going to take up 10.74 gigabytes of space, which tells me this is about the amount of space that's going to be used initially to build the OS. We're going to click Create Alias, which means it's going to create a desktop icon over here called Windows 11. And again, you can name this anything you want. I'm going to click Customize Settings before installation. And if you notice, neither of these options were really available when we went through the process where it downloads it and tries to install it immediately. I'm going to click Create. What I've noticed, and this is why I want to do this manually, if we went through the process where it would install Windows 11, it would download it and install it right away. I've noticed if I click on hardware here and I go down to hard disk, I won't have the option to resize it to 64 gigs. It will lock it at 256. I literally have no idea why it does that, but I've noticed the only way to be able to size it to 64 gigs is to click Customize at the beginning and configure it this way before you've installed it. Otherwise, you cannot go below 256. You could go above it, but you can't go below it. It's weird. But since we're configuring it before the installation, I can go to 64 gigs. And the cool thing about this is once I've applied this, in the future, I can move it up to 256 if I wanted, or whatever desired size I want. I'm doing 64 gigs because I have an external hard drive, and if I have any big files I want to work with in Windows, I will just connect my external SSD. So I will click Apply, Continue. All right, now it's sized it. I'm going to click Close. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to isolate Windows from Mac. I do not want Mac and Windows to have files writing to each other. I do not want the ability for them to write to each other. Again, I have an external SSD that I can connect and move files between each other under hardware. And then the other thing we can just take a look at, but we can always change it later. And everything we can change later, you can, except for the hard disk capacity. This, for whatever reason, if you don't make it 64 gigs before you install Windows 11, you will not be able to go below 256. So that's the only thing you really have to change at the beginning. Everything else you can change after the fact. On automatic, it's going to allocate essentially half my CPU, which is 4 cores, half my RAM, which is 8 gigs of RAM, and up to 4 gigs of graphics. You can always click on manual and make it whatever you want. I am going to switch to automatic for now, and again, I can change it in the future later. So let's lock it and continue. Okay, it's saying the operation has failed, and I think I know what's causing this. So that's another thing I've noticed. If I lock it, it will fail. So I'm glad you all are seeing this. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to click on Actions. We're going to click on Stop. Stop. Now, unfortunately, click here, then click Control Center, and we need to remove Windows 11. I'm glad you all saw that, because this is the type of like tinkering I've been doing. Sorry for all the noises. That's the trash bin here. Let me just turn down the volume all the way. What I've been trying to kind of portray here is if you don't get the settings just right for whatever reason, it's going to fail. So I'm going to show you how to do it without it failing. So we're going to click here. I'm going to click Continue, select a file. And the reason why I had to go to the Configure button is to completely remove Windows 11. And that's the setting I was looking for. Click Open. So Windows 11 Home, done. Games Only, Continue. Create alias on Mac desktop, yep. Customize, yep. Create. Now here's what we're going to do differently. I'm not going to lock it. I'm going to go to hardware. We're going to leave it at automatic. Hard disk. It defaults to 256. Again, we have to change this before the install. We're going to go to 64 gigs. Apply. Continue. Close. Okay. Isolate. Okay. Close and continue. And this should work. And look at that. No errors. It's going to work. And that's what I mean by like tinkering. You want to tinker to the point where you are kind of getting a working version. I tried my best to kind of get a bootleg version of Windows 10 on ARM, but you can't, because Windows 10 on ARM, they have a secret deal pretty much with Qualcomm, where if you know anything about the Microsoft Surface Pro X, that has a Qualcomm chip in it. Qualcomm essentially had a deal with Microsoft where we will make the chip for the Surface Pro X, and Windows 10 on ARM is only locked to Qualcomm CPUs. So this is the M1 chip made by Apple. It's an Apple SoC. Because of that, you're kind of locked into only getting Windows 11 at this point. And again, I will show you all, this does not look like a beta to me. So we'll let it go through the installation. I will speed this all up, and I'll catch you all back when this is done. Looks like it's done. I'm going to click restart now. And it's going to reboot one time. And I'll show you all real quick. I can click on configure here. It will say some of the settings on this page cannot be changed until the virtual machine is shut down. Makes total sense. You can't make massive hardware changes while the virtual machine is installing or just simply turned on. But I just want to show you all some of these settings. So under general, you have the name. Again, you can change the name here, but because we're currently having it on, you can't. You can reclaim disk space on shutdown. I don't know exactly what that entails, but you'll see whatever's reclaimable will show up in yellow on this bar here. But as it stands right now, this is exactly how much space it's taking. And if you notice, it keeps growing because it's still installing. So I'll kind of put this a little bit to the side there and bring this up for a side-by-side. But it's kind of blowing through the process. I mean, this is real time. I'm not, speeding anything up. I want you all to see it in real time. Under options here, we can do startup and shutdown. What I'm going to do is I would like to make it startup view in window mode, which is going to be like this. And if I want to blow it up, I can always click on the green button there to blow that up, which is not available right now because we're going through the install. Under optimization, you can set resource usage limits, but again, this is only on the Pro version. I've isolated Windows from Mac, so this is kind of, a moot point. Same thing under applications, full screen. You can optimize for full screen games. That's the reason why I picked the gaming option, because I want it to be optimized where I don't get pop-ups from the dock while I'm in Windows mode. You also have picture-in-picture option here. You have web and mail here. You have maintenance. So this is for downloading and installing Windows updates. You have travel mode. So under more options, you have, the time sync from Mac, share Mac clipboard, preserve text formatting. I'm really not sure what that means, the preserving text formatting. I'm assuming maybe it's the look, not sure. But I do want to share the clipboard from Mac, so if I ever want to copy and paste words, I want to share that clipboard. These are two Pro only options. So we're going to get rid of the configuration, and we're going to click over here to continue. Okay, now right out the gate, since we've entered into Windows 11 mode, if you notice, I cannot get to the dock. I cannot leave. Now, it's a simple 3-finger swipe if you have your touchpad gestures enabled like that, where you can switch between full screen applications, right? So this is Windows over here. You'll see me moving around, and then this is macOS over here, and you'll see me moving around. Now, if you're like, okay, I don't want to do that, I want to be able to just, without the gestures, I don't like the gestures. What you can do is over here it says entered full screen for games. Again, if you're not playing games, this is irrelevant. Press Control plus Alt to access the dock and menu bar. So the minute I hit Control Alt, boom, I now have access to macOS. And then if you notice, Windows 11 is in windowed mode. Again, Control Alt, that's to get you out, so you can make all the selections you want in macOS. But the minute you click into Windows 11, you're kind of locked into Windows 11. And then when you want to click into, you notice my mouse can't leave the window here. I have to hit Control Alt, and now I can leave it. It's kind of a cool feature. So we are going to blow up again here. We'll click close, and you can also click do not show me this again. And upon entry into Windows 11 right out the gate, it opens up Edge and kind of tells you a little bit about Parallels, telling you it's successfully installed. You can install your Windows applications. You can choose how everything works. You can run in coherence mode, which is running Windows and macOS applications side by side. Not a fan of that. I like it isolated completely. I don't see anything here that says beta. And I will show you a picture of what it looks like when you are running the Windows 10 developer preview. It will literally say developer preview or beta at the bottom right corner over here. You can go to Windows Update over here. You can hit download the update. You can open up the Microsoft Store over here. And these are really cool features. So the reason why I want to use Windows is I am a Microsoft certified professional. I work with Windows in my professional career. So I like to stay on top of Windows. At the same time, I also have an Xbox that I plan on doing remote play on. And unfortunately, remote play does not work on macOS. There used to be a workaround where you could side load the Xbox app IPA into macOS and play the iPhone/iPad version inside of macOS, because again, since it's Apple Silicon, in theory, you should be able to play iPhone, iPad stuff on macOS with the M1 processors, but Microsoft blocked that. And I'm assuming they want to make this a Windows exclusive. So because of that, I'm unable to play remote play on macOS. So that's another big reason why I want Windows 11. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Xbox app right here. I just want to show you all. I'm going to click Get. And it's going to install. And it's just going to ask me for my Microsoft account. So, and I'll make another video on showing and proving that it works very well at a later time. Last thing I do want to show is the storage. And this is the thing I wanted to show you all. So when you click on About This Mac, then you click on Storage here. You click on Manage. You will see Parallels VMs. 15.58 gigabytes. That's how much storage it's taking. This is something I've also noticed. Sorry, this video is so long. It thinks that there is a Windows 11 DVD installed in the DVD-ROM. I'm just going to right click there and I'm going to click eject. So then that's gone. And now if you notice over here, it's 64 gigs essentially, which is what I've allocated. I have almost 40 gigabytes available, and I think that's pretty great. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment down below. I really hope this helped you out. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for the long video. Take care.